I don't quite know what's going on. It looks like something is broken at this end. I don't know how long this stream will stay going, but Murphy's Law says that it'll be absolutely fine now. So I'm just keeping a quick look on it. However, it seems suspicious to me, says Chris at Gross Models. No, not at all, dude. I mean, I want to get these guys done, and it's more fun to do it with you guys. Although, having said that, I'm not getting any alerts. It's not giving me any red alerts. Ooh, we might be on a winner. Should we just stick around? Shall I just stick around and see what happens? Okay, I'm not getting any alerts. I'll have a swig of coffee. Nom. We'll do it this one last time. If the stream goes down again, if it does go down again, then it looks like it's an issue I can't correct. It's probably an issue with just my broadband supply or something like that. So if it does go down again, then I'll just leave it. We'll leave it for today. But if we keep going, we'll keep going. The show must go on. The show must be do. Or the show must be go. It's a piece of music by Kevin. Kevin? No. I'll shut up. Anyway. Right, so it does seem to... Yep, looks like we're good. So let's see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it falls over, there you go. Right, so I've no idea what we're talking about now, so let's just crack on and do some work. It is, after all, at 3:30, 20 to 4. Okay. He hasn't paid his internet bill, says David Sanderson. Damn. Okay, I'm still getting no alerts. Awesome. Whatever was going on, it seems to be working now. Fingers crossed. Oh, hello. What was that? Laurent Marianne subscribed. Well, thank you for subscribing, Laurent. I don't know if you're watching. If you are watching, thank you very much. If you're not watching, thank you very much. But Laurent Marianne has just subscribed. Right, so anyway, let's do some damn work, shall we? So let's get something done. So we've got the Blight Lord Terminator 1, 2, and 3 to work on. I suspect we'll get maybe one of these done. There you go. So we'll find out. So how is everyone? How are you all? I hope you're all well. Dad, of course, has the correct question to be asking for right now, and I'll let Dad do that as is his way. Yep, everything seems healthy. Green across the board. Kick ass. Right, I think we're in business. Let's just crack on. But if it does fall over again, just assume I'll leave it then, because it won't keep. We'll keep doing it. So we've got. We need 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's nice and in the right order. I need my helmet of seeing. So how are you all? How the diddly devil are you? Let's have a look. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, cool. I've had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've not got a massive amount done this week, but I have got a couple of the sort of quick look Warhammer Conquest videos up. Like I said earlier on, I'm hoping to... what am I hoping to do? I'm trying to think and work, and if you weren't here at the start, I explained I had to go out last night, and I'm a little bit broken today, so it's a little bit hard thinking and talking and doing things at the same time. It's a bit of a challenge. It's a bit challenging right now. Yes, my plan is, like I say, just want to get all the issues that have piled up, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the issues for Warhammer Conquest that have piled up over the previous months. I'm just getting the magazine out, filming, a quick look of here's the magazines for this month and here's what you get, having a look at the sprues and stuff that comes with it, and then putting it back in the box and sorting it all away like we've got here. Like I've got all my instructions for the next 5 or 6 issues in a handy little file, so I can then take time just to come and work on these on this show. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Brain not working. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10. And I've got, I think I'm up to issue 30 I've done. So I've got one more magazine pack to film. Just, like I said, just have a quick look at what's in there. And then what I can do is each month going forward, just once a month, I'll pop a video up saying, here's what's in the next 4 issues of Warhammer Conquest. And then eventually, when I've got the Cesabe all done and painted up, and I've got the Perfect Grade Millennium Falcon all done and painted up, I can go back into Warhammer Conquest and start filming those painting videos as well. Because they've just kind of taken a back seat at the minute because of the things like the Cesabe and the Falcon. But I suddenly realised I can get them built at least on this show. So I may as well start ordering them and getting them all lined up and everything ready. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. Right. Let's have a look. Speedy Q8 says, bench Robocop and Martin McFly. Of course, the question that Dad hasn't asked yet is... Already answered by Spid. Dad, you haven't asked the question. Dad, ask the question. Spid says, bench Robocop and Martin McFly. Other bench cheesecake in progress. Belly soon cheesecake. Awesome. Dad, you need to ask the question. Ask the question, Dad. Dad, ask the question. Ask the question, Dad. Dad. Right, let's get these trimmed off. Of course, as always, I'm cutting them off. There we go. What's on your bench and what's in your belly, folks? Thanks, Dad. It's Dad's question, that. I'm cutting the things off the sprue with the big honking Citadel cutters. And then I'm going in with my delightful God hands to do tidy up if needed. And then we'll do a little bit of sanding and stuff like that. So I'll try and get these built a bit faster today. So snipping. So on my bench at the minute, to answer the question myself, on my bench at the minute is obviously this and Warhammer Conquest stuff. So I've got one more episode to film. And you watch, I'll just finish filming that, and then the next pack of things will turn up, and I'll be like, oh, for crying out loud. So one more of those to film, and then I go back to the Cesabe, which is still at the sanding and cleaning phase. And again, just because I'm doing this for last week, purely because it's a question of space. Everything I'm doing right now at the minute is a question of trying to make space to store things. What else? In my belly right now is what did I have? Like literally, I had tomato. Just before the show went live, I ate a tomato. Just a tomato. I'm like, you know what? I'll have that tomato. I've learnt a lesson though, folks. I've learnt 2 valuable lessons over the last 2 days. So here's some valuable life lessons. Some of Fox's valuable life lessons. I do stupid stuff so you don't have to. First of all, handy tip for you. I'm just checking my computer and everything seems still to be working. Yes. Handy tip for you. If you decide to eat a tomato, a normal sized tomato of an average size, I do not recommend putting it all in your mouth all at the same time, like in one go, because it gets really complicated. That's what I learned this morning when I thought I'll just quickly eat a tomato, and then I was like, I can't chew. So yeah, don't do that. The other thing I've learned is, this is for anybody who knows and has a bottle of fish sauce. If you don't know what fish sauce is, it's basically just fish sauce. It's something you put in food to get a really nice flavour, but it stinks. It's got the worst smell in the world, but it tastes delicious. And you put like a tiny drop in a meal. Like say you're making soup or something, or bolognese or something, you put the tiniest dot of the sauce in, and it just enhances the flavour. But what I've learned is that the fish sauce bottle I've got, it's very hard to decant from the bottle into your food without getting a little bit, dribbling down the side of the bottle, which is fine. However, what you don't want to do under any circumstances is put your bottle of fish sauce, which has been opened and is in use. You do not want to put your bottle of fish sauce anywhere near any kind of large plastic juice bottle, like you get your bottle of Robinson's summer fruits. plastic dilute to taste type juicer bottle. Do not put fish sauce anywhere near that, because the stank can work its way through the plastic bottle. Trust me on this. Because yesterday I decided to pour myself to have a swift tall glass of Robinson's Purple, the summer fruits one, or whichever one it was, blackcurrant and fruit. So I poured a little bit into the glass, added my water diluted to my personal preference, and it stank. It was like, it's not a fruity smell. Yeah. I won't say out loud on the stream, it's monetized, what the fish sauce smells like, but you can probably, I'm sure somebody can explain it politely in the chat. But yes, so it can permeate through plastic bottles into whatever's in the plastic bottle, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, that went a bit wrong. But I do love fish sauce, adding it to stuff. Let's have a look at the chat and see what... I'll just finish cutting this up first, and we'll see what you've all been saying about bench and belly. Yes, I don't know if the stream had finished by the time I said this, but Colin mentioned his video. He's just put a video up of him building the Tamiya drill. Tamiya do a little tiny electric drill, and they actually made it into a kit, so it's a drill you can use, but it's also a kit. He's done a little video of building that, so after the show, why not go and check that out? Right, so get this little nib off there, and this little fellow here. Am I on camera? Yes. But anyway, going back to bench and belly. So yes, I've eaten a tomato so far, but the dinner tonight, the plan for dinner tonight, is already in place because I can smell it. Today is a slow cook day. It's it's the day when Mama Fox does one of her slow cooks, and it's going to be, I think it is, diced chicken, so chunks of chicken and all the veggies in the slow cooker. Now she actually realised we're too late that we have no gravy. We've got no like gravy powders, because we got like chicken gravy, onion gravy and stuff. We didn't have any, so all she had were like loads of sort of Bisto and Oxo stock cubes, or the kind of stock pot thing where you get that gelatinous wobble that's made of like all the meat juice and you put it in it. So she dumped a whole load of them in. And she recently bought a new spice rack with loads of spices on, so she's put all herbs and spices in it. Oh yes, and all I can smell from downstairs is the finest things. I can smell the finest things. And it's making me very, very hungry. Very, very hungry. So let's have a look and see what people are saying to bench and belly. Colin at Fest 67 Workshop says cat. He's working on his cat. And he also says nout, so I assume nout is he's eating nothing. Need to eat food, Colin. Eat all the foods. Clear my throat, one sec. Nim says bench Sazabi and maybe my little tiny figures, and belly ramen later maybe now, but Starburst jelly beans. Ooh, and coffee. Yes, we know about the coffee. That was declared right at the start. Ramen. You can't go wrong with ramen. Osric 9000 says cheese and mushroom toasty and batch painting spesmarines. Ooh, toasty, yeah. David Sanders says on the bench a Redemptor Dreadnought. Nice. I've got one of them coming up. Where have we got that? Coming up in a bit. I think that comes up after we've done these guys. We have the Reavers. Then we've got some Battlefield accessories, and then we have the Redemptor Dreadnought. Yeah, it's going to be fun, that. I'm looking forward to painting that. I can't wait to paint that. Let's have a look. Anyway, yes, there's Redemptor Dreadnought, Gretchins, and Chaos Cultists belly Scotch eggs. Ooh, Scotch eggs. Quano Man says, I'm partway through a real grade Zakum with Flame Toys IDW version of Optimus Prime model kit. Cool. Foodbit says, Fox, tomato, potato. Tomato, potato. I may be doing Prime to avoid them bloody Zaku beads, says Quano Man. You should never... You can't avoid Zaku beads. It's impossible. Colin says, cheers for the pimpage. Yes. So fish sauce is a strained version of surströmming. No, it's not that kind of smell. It's not a rotten smell. Fish sauce... It's not a smell you want lingering on your fingers, put it that way. It's a familiar smell. It's not unpleasant. It's just very, very strong. But the flavour of it, you can't really it's like a really strong soy sauce kind of flavour. It's a real dark MSG kind of flavour. So when you add it to, well, you don't add it to your food like on your plate. You add it to the stuff you're cooking. So if I had a big pan of, say, some kind of bolognese or a soup or something, I'd put like 1 or 2 drops in. That's all you need, and it just brings out some of the more sort of intense middle range flavours, the brown flavours, the meaty MSG type flavours, the umami. It's a very umami. It's Vietnamese dishes use it all the time. Eon's Car, welcome Eon's Car, says bench, Plague Marines and Poxwalkers, belly, chocky and fish cake and chips. Oh, chocolate and fish cake and chips. Wait. Okay, so fish cake and chips and then I get you. Yeah, it was like if all at the same time, that'd be a bit interesting. Jamie Bowen says bench, Warhammer Conquest Space Marines, belly, roast chicken and all the trimming in about an hour. Yes, you have your roast chicken on Sunday, don't you? Oh yeah. We're having roast chicken, but it's not roast, it's slow cooked. Oh, there's all the smell. I wish I could somehow let you experience the smell from downstairs. It's like, oh, it's delicious. And she sets them going off at like sort of 9 or 10 in the morning. So by about 11 o'clock, the smell starts to appear, and then you have to sit there for 7 or 8 hours smelling it, and you can't eat it because it's not ready. You're like, oh. Snowman HFC says, sorry, got to go, feeling horrible today, I have no energy, hope you all have a great day. I hope you feel better soon, Snowman. I'm actually broken today as well, but mine's self-inflicted. But thank you for coming in, though. Tim Wilkinson, welcome, Tim. On the bench, Bandai's A-Wing, nice. In the belly, Thatcher's Katie. Thatcher's Katie, what's Thatcher's Katie? Is that a typo, or is that just something I don't know what it is? Either way, you need to explain. Thatcher's Katie. Beck Storm says roast chicken here too. Oh, can't go wrong. Chicken. Chicken is just the chicken of meat, basically. If chicken lived in the sea, it would just be the chicken of the sea. You know, like shrimps are the idiots of the sea, and I don't know, manatees are the cow of the sea. A chicken would just be the chicken of the sea if it lived in the sea. Right, so we've got these guys snippetated. Clean them up a little bit with the... I'm going to eat model making chicken, says Jamie Bow. No! You'd have to fight Ted for that. And anyway, model making chicken would just beat you up. Sea chicken, says Beckstorm. Yeah. Sea chicken. It's the chicken of the sea. I just like the idea. I like putting the word sea in front of things. And I also hate... what I don't like, though, is the fact there's another stabbity chaos dude, isn't it? So I'm going to stab myself with the plastic constantly. Yeah, just like putting the word sea in front of things. I don't know, it just makes a pleasing word. Get rid of this little nubulon here. A little bit of filey. Where was that one? That one is there. There's a big fat nub. Can I get that off with the nippies? Do sea chicken. There we go. Shrimp, the idiots of the sea. Just get rid of these little nubs. I'm not getting rid of them completely because we can sand them and file them. This is just a quick stuck to get them off. Now this is a horn sticking out of his armour, so it doesn't have to be completely happily neat and tidy. This, it can be a bit rough around the edges. That's fine. Beyond Hope says, my gravy recipe... Oh, here we go. Everybody get your pen ready. I'm going to read it out. It's a recipe. Paul, write this... Paul's not here. Chris, write this down for Paul. Here we go. My gravy recipe, says Beyond Hope. My gravy recipe. 1 tablespoon of gravy granules. 1 OXO cube. 1 heaped dessert spoon. He does say desert spoon. 1 heaped dessert spoon of self-raising flour. Salt, pepper, and add water from the veg to the thickness of the gravy you want. Stir and boil till hot. Can add a knob of butter to taste if you want. And apparently YouTube censored the word knob. There you go. Chris says, wait, I'll get a pen. So that, oh, that sounds nice. Now, I'll tell you what. If you're using gravy granules, and I mean, you know, personal taste here, but I love chicken gravy. if you get like gravy granules, I love chicken gravy granules. They're really nice, but I've never been a big fan of just bog standard gravy granules because it's a very harsh flavour. However, if you get onion gravy, onion gravy, oh, that's nice. And I'll tell you what, it gets even more fun, is if you like me and just don't care, and you just put loads of everything in. So I will often mix onion gravy and chicken gravy granules. And I'll tell you one other handy tip. Now, Nim, you'll like this because you eat ramen all the time, and you're often on a budget. So I'll tell you what I've done for occasionally from time to time. If I want a nice sort of hearty meal, but I'm a little bit skint, a little bit pressed, or I just pressed for time, or there's just nothing in and I can't be bothered going to the shop, I'll get like a pack of ramen noodles. Whichever, doesn't really matter. And they usually come with like a sachet of, flavouring and stuff. I'll put the flavouring in, but what I'll also do is add in a few big spoonfuls of gravy granules. Whichever one you want. And what it does, you're basically making not a full gravy because you're only putting, say, 1 or 2 spoonfuls in. You're not putting in like 4 or 5 spoonfuls to a big thick gravy level. You put your boiling water, you get your noodles, get them in a pan, get the boiling water, start cooking them. You're thickening up the water, and you're going from having just ramen noodles to actually making basically a proper soupy ramen dish. And the gravy just makes it really nice and tasty. So if you ever pushed for time or money and you just put a pack of ramen is just a bit too bland, add some gravy granules. This is great. It's quite tasty. And mix and match your chicken and your onion gravy and other gravies. Nim says, hey, I get paid on Tuesday. Cool. You can splurge. Let's have a look. JB Bone says, haha, knob. Fubit says, bench Gundam F91 EFSF version 2.0. Nice. That's very small though, isn't it? The F91 was quite a small mobile suit. Belly, some cold pork pineapple pizza with garlic, parmesan sauce, and for a drink, Liberty Brew Mountain Dew. Apparently, if I don't drink it, the terrorists win. Liberty Brew. Is it like freedom fries? Nim says, so then no more ramen for a week. Or the alternative, Nim, of course, is just to keep on eating the ramen, because ramen are brilliant, and you could just not spend that money. Just think of what you could save up and buy if you did just carried on eating the ramen. If I could sit and eat ramen every day for my food, I just happily would, because it takes 2 minutes to make and it's tasty and I love it. I love the experience of just shoveling the ramen in my face with the chopsticks. It's just fun. So you've always got the option of just carrying on eating the ramen, if you so desire. Was there another? Is there? No, there isn't one on there. There's a little bit there. It's the good thing with these Death Guard is I'm not being too careful taking off the nubs because their armour is battered and covered in pockmarks and disease and stuff anyway. So if I go along and I put a bit of a gouge in with the blade, it doesn't really matter because you can build it into the paint job as a ding in the armour or a gouge or a bubo. So you've got a lot of freedom with these Death Guards just to kind of have at it and just have fun with them. I had a thought, as well. Like Bandai's bringing out that large Space Marine action figure, the one that's like 7 inches tall. I wonder if they have plans to do any other ones, and if they do, I wonder if they'll do like a Death Guard. That'd be cool. Colin says, I've not got a pen, boohoo and wibble. Colin, you could copy and paste it from the chat into. Oh, you could do that, mate. You could copy and paste your old friend Control C and Control V. So then, no more ramen for. Oh, we've done that one. Stream dropping again. Yes, I am showing drop frames again. You're right, it's a bit small, but still a fun build, says Fubits. Was trying to find the recipe book and pen. Yes, we are seeing drop frames again, aren't we? Only 1% though, so I'm not too worried just yet. We'll see. If it does fall over and die again, then we'll just call it quits there. But if it carries on, we'll soldier on through. Technology and witchcraft and tomfoolery, says Colin at Feta 67. Yeah, elastic trickery. Beck Storm says, I like using bister gravy and just soaking a plate of rice in it. Goes well with some tomatoes, though I haven't figured out what the meat of the dish would be. I think. I think with tomatoes and rice and bister gravy, you could get... Oh, you know what would be good? Get some gammon, but pulled gammon. Get some gammon and pull it, like pulled pork. Pull it. And then... Oh, that'd be nice. Doodle-doo-doo. I've been known on occasion to actually make gravy as a drink. Make it thin. I mean, it's, when you're a kid, when I was a kid in the 70s, you go to a football match, you get a cup of Bovril, but sometimes you just get a cup of, they just make gravy and put it in a cup and it'd be like, there you go, 20p. Oh, God, that's good. Handy tip, if you didn't see this last week when we had a program last week and talked about this, if you've never done it before, please, 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 please consider putting maple syrup in your coffee. If you've never tried it before, trust your Uncle Fox. Put a little bit of maple syrup in your coffee. And I actually did an experiment the other day, and it does work in tea as well. Not as much. You can't put as much in. Maple syrup in tea actually kind of works. Now, I've only tried it with Barry's tea, because as we know, Barry's tea is the only tea. All of the teas pale into significance compared to Barry's tea. Barry's tea is the best of all. It was the best of teas. It was the worst of teas. But yeah, maple syrup in your coffee. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's fantastic. Especially for me being hungover when I need all the sugar I can get. Yeah. Beyond Hope says, I found egg fried rice goes very well with brains faggots, the gravy that is gorgeous with the rice. Oh, that'd be nice. If you mash them up. Oh, I really want brains faggots now. Oh, brains faggots. BH, that is stuff me gran used to make. BH. What's BH? Ooh, Bovril, says Colin. Sergeant Moans is in. Welcome, Sergeant Moans. Says, oi, Colin. Oh, and Fox too. Hey, I'm just here for the ride. Beyond Hope. That's what he means, BH. Beyond Hope, that is stuff me gran used to make. Egg fried rice with brains faggots. Oh, I really want... See, Mama Fox doesn't like brains faggots, and this is incorrect. It's blatantly incorrect, so I must acquire some brains faggots. When you're a kid growing up in the 1970s, of course, the word faggot had no ulterior meaning like it does today. A faggot was, the reason they're called faggots is that a faggot was a small block of kindling that you used to keep a fire going or to light a fire. They'd be called faggots. And that's what these things look like. And the manufacturer's called Brains. So when I was a kid in the 70s, we didn't care they were called faggots. It's more just they were made by a company called Brains. Brains faggots. Great. Nowadays, of course, yeah, it's totally different. That's wrong, Mama Fox, says Colin. Yeah, you should always like Brains faggots. What time are we on? 4 o'clock. We've not fallen over yet. We've got a lot of drop frames. We're doing 1.4% drop frame rate. It's not brilliant, but it's not the end of the world. What we've got here? We've got seam lines. Oh, I know what to get. I can tell you for once, I ordered some more sandy sponges from Ultimate. Because I've got these ones that are all a bit old and battered now. I ordered some more. They are 220 grit. Because it says on the label 220 grit. I've ordered these. So I can tell you now, the squidgy ones that I love so much. Wow, that's a bit... Oh, hello. That's a bit wonky, isn't it? I got a bit broken. It doesn't really matter. Let's get a different one. There we go. Yeah, look at that. It's a bit wonky donkey. As I say, doesn't really matter. I'm not really fussed, to be honest. Doesn't really bother me at all. It's still going to be worked as a sanding sponge. It'll work perfectly well as a sanding sponge because I can just move it like that. There we go. Fixed. Anyway, let's put that back in the bag. So yes, 220 grit. There we go. Now I know. Colin says they are brilliant sanders. I love mine. Beyond Hope says, Fox, the video has been stalling, but the audio has been solid. It's always the video that will fall over first. If you do get any choppiness today, it's telling me that there have been 937 or 1.7% dropped frames. But this, I don't know if that means that it's a problem with my end, like with my broadband, or it's a problem with YouTube. It could be either. So, but I don't want to fiddle with it anymore because I've already restarted the stream 3 times. I don't want to mess you guys around. So I'd rather just kind of stick with it and see what happens. And if it's the occasional drop frame, I'm sure you guys will stick with me. If it's the occasional blip, it's probably not your end, so don't worry about it. Baby-did-do. Can't have this technology working perfectly every day, I'm afraid. There'll always be times when it falls over a bit. What can you do? So yeah, 220 grit, and I'm gonna. The thing with me is, I do love, and I've pimped them before, and I'm not sponsored by or affiliated with Ultimate Modelling Products at all. UMP. I know Paul in passing. I don't know him personally, but I will happily recommend his sanding sticks. That one's a bit malformed as well, but I don't care. It's a sanding stick. It's designed for sanding, not looking pretty. And I love their sanding sponges. So when they get a bit old and smooth, then, because a lot of people will just have like sanding stick, they'll use it and throw it away. This one is 220 grit. When you've used it for a bit, it goes smoother. So it's probably more like 420 grit now, that one. But you know what? It means I can use that one and then that one. So don't throw them away when you've used them for a bit. Keep them. Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo. Beyond Hope says, I moved over to Albion Alloys or Fleury Sanders. Found the UMP ones are separated a little too much for my liking. Yeah, I get them separated a bit sometimes. Sometimes I take them apart deliberately so I can make that bit smaller. These are quite old. Although I have to say these are probably a good couple of years old now, these ones, because I tend to make them last. I have heard rumblings about some of the more recent production runs, so I don't know. I mean, looking at that, it's a bit squidgy. It's a bit malformed. But it could be a one-off, I don't know. All I care about is, does it sand? Vincent's in. Vincent at Mr. Loth's Model Making. Welcome, Vincent. Hey, Vincenzo. Sempre qua bella bambina. Hey. Don't know why I did Italian. He's not actually Italian. So that's that there. No seam line. Let's have a look. We're now at 1.9% dropped frames. Yeah, we're getting a lot of drop frames, but I don't know why. We'll persevere. We'll soldier on. But like I say, if it does fall over, assume that's it. Because there's no point me restarting it again. Let's have a look. My brother speaks fluently though, model making guru, says Vincent. Brilliant. I speak no Italian whatsoever, so I just make it up. I just bella bambina, sempre qua. I tell you what I do love though, if you ever have chance to watch an Italian news broadcast, it's hilarious, because whenever I've seen an Italian news broadcast, they always have like a pretty lady reading the news, because of course they do. It's Italy. It's going to be a bloke. It's going to be a pretty lady. Of course it is. But she'll sit there, and you like our newsreader might be like, they might say, an event happened today when some people did some things. A man came along and did some extra bits. Our man on the street, Bob Smith, says this. That's how, we do the news. If you watch the Italian newscasters, the newsreaders, I watched one, and she came on and she basically went, bruh, and just talked a billion words a minute for like half an hour, and then stopped, and then did a massive intake of breath, and then and it was like, wow, that's like a machine gun. You've got half an hour to tell the news. You don't have to get all the news into like 1 minute. It was fascinating. It's like, surely, it's weird. It was really weird. I don't know if that's how Italian actually works, that you just say 1,000 words every 30 seconds. Spiddy Curate says, I recommend cheap ass nail files from the pound shop. And Sergeant Bones says, Spiddy, would you buy coffee at a pound shop? You know how to work him, don't you, Sergeant Bones? Says, treat your models right. I don't know, you can use little beauty shop, pound shop nail files. They're fine. If it basically sands, that's all you really care about. That's absolutely fine. You can. Some people do, and I've actually, I know people that have got like they get like little 4-in-1 sanding sponge have got 4 different grits and grades for doing nails. They're all right. I mean, they're not going to last as long, and they're not as durable and hardy as these, but it'll be fine. It's one of those things where you can skimp a bit on things like sanding. But yeah, the Sergeant Bones gets 10 points there for going straight to Spid's sensitive, intimate feminine area by mentioning coffee. Yeah, that's how you get his attention. Only if they sold single origin Arabica green beans, Sarge. Colin says Italian TV shows are so funny. Yeah. I've not really watched. Every time I see an Italian quiz show, it's always like some really old host who's like some old bloke, but who's had so much plastic surgery he would float more than normal in water. And then like Totti, there's always attractive women everywhere. It's I don't know how Italy gets away with it as a nation, but there you go. I think the best news broadcast to watch, because it's always fun watching like news broadcasts when you don't speak the language. Because we watch the news and we can't help but listen to what's actually being said, and therefore our attention falls to whatever the subject of the announcement is. But if you watch foreign news broadcasts where you don't know what's being said, so you can actually spend time studying how it's being said and how the person's presenting it. North Korean news is fantastic. So shouty. It's 100% propaganda, and it's just it's brilliant. I love it. Watching North Korean news is fantastic. I don't know if it's still that lady that wears pink that's the legendary North Korean newscaster. I think she retired and then came back. Yeah, North Korean news is just legendary. Most patriotic news on the planet, that says Vincent and Mr. Less Model Making. Colin says North Korean news, the pink lady. Yeah, she's legendary. I think she retired and then she came back when they launched some missiles. Oh, I love it. It's funny to watch. It is funny to watch stuff when you don't speak the language. Because then you're just watching it for the sake of watching it as an experience. Yeah, Vincent says, no, she's retired, but they trot her out for his birthdays and whenever they successfully launch something and such stuff. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I'm debating whether to drill out the barrels on these weapons. On these bolt pistols. I think these are bolt pistols. Maybe. Not really sure, but I don't know because the barrels are really, really small. I don't know if I've got enough scope to actually drill them out, even with the smallest bit. I'll certainly try, but I don't want to mess them up. I don't like having a solid barrel though. It doesn't sit well with me. We're up to 2% dropped frames. Can you imagine the pink lady reading her bedtime story? Her grandkids are wrecked. Yeah. Spid says, I'm a cheap ass when the end result is the same for my needs and skill levels and I don't have to drink my Sanders. Yeah. Vincent says, I've had the pleasure of hearing my brother argue with his Italian ex-girlfriend when they were still together. That was funny as hell, but keep the glassware and porcelain out of reach. Spid says, to be entirely fair, Sarge, they do a great job, are cheap, obviously, and last well with a range of sanding and buffing surfaces, but for proper important flatting and finishing, I use micro mesh. Yeah. Some things you can skimp on, some things it doesn't really matter. I mean, I wouldn't, it's the kind of thing where you wouldn't want to say skimp on stuff that you're going to use for actual painting and things like that. Because that's where you want to use the right things. But for stuff like sanding, you can use anything, it doesn't really matter. These files I got from B&Q, I think, for about £7, many, many years ago. Okay. I'm liking the fact that all the seam lines, or a lot of the seam lines on these Death Guard dudes actually seem to be where the armour divisions are. I can't find my sanding brush. Where is my sanding brush? I don't know. I can't find it. I have to use a different brush instead. Oh well, never mind. I'll use this one. There we go. Yeah, it seems to, as best they can, they've tried to make the mould line go where the armour joints are, which is quite nice. Saves me farting about with it. Well, there's a little one there. The seam line removal tool. Thank you, you're back on the Christmas... Sergeant Baron says that Spid is forgiven, and Spid says, thank you, you're back on the Christmas card list. Christmas card list? I never got a Christmas card. How come I'm not on the list? There we go. If you're doing some of these Warhammer Conquest jobbies, I do find, because the plastic is weird, because it's that kind of like, it's more buttery and soft, but at the same time more brittle. I do find that it works very well with files. You know, like normally you do a lot of sanding just with sanding sponges like this. I do find that files are actually quite good on this plastic. Because it's a little bit brittle, but it's also a little bit squidgy. It does tend to do a nice clean effect when you file it. Sometimes you can't really use files on some plastics because it's a bit ropey. You give yourself a lot of cleanup. But this seems to actually work quite well. Quite well. Depends on the finish you're after, says Vincent. For that high gloss competition finish on cars, it probably matters a lot what sanding supplies you use. But on matte finish stuff, yeah, not so much. Yeah, if you're making like a shiny car or bike or something, and you want to get a proper show finish, then of course you do. But that's where the Spade says he'll use his micro mesh and things like that. But the proper important mattering sandy stuff, as he said. But I don't do shiny models because I suck at doing shiny models. That's why I do not shiny models, and that's why I can get away with my half-arse techniques. So people have said to me in the past who've said, you know, where's my... They haven't said where's my thing. They said, you know, why you tend to kind of rush stuff and you go through it quite quickly, and when you're painting things, you don't spend 6 weeks painting a figure. You might, you know, paint your model over the course of a few days. You're using broad brush strokes, you know, those kind of impressionistic sort of stuff. Why do you do that? And I say to them, at the end of the day, it's your model. You can paint it however you want. You know, the person painting can choose how they want to paint it. I can, if I choose to, go for a proper, long, drawn-out, utterly realistic paint. I want whatever I'm painting. I could spend, you know, weeks and weeks painting things and being all careful. But for me, there's two reasons I don't do that. One is it's more fun just to get handy with the paint and be like, oh, let's get this thing painted. Where, get it on. More coffee. I liken my style of painting to more akin to, say, it's kind of an impressionistic style. I'm not looking to get absolute realism. I'm looking to just get interesting colours and give the impression of something. So I have a more, let's say, impressionistic... I like to call my style of painting sort of a mix between impressionism and concept art painting. You look at any concept art for, you know, movies or for video games or anything like that. That kind of blocky concept art kind of look. And also, you know, it's more fun. But also, the whole thing with me is that I'm trying to show people how what we do. When you look at a beautiful painted model that's got loads of detail and it looks like somebody spent years doing it, it's not necessarily the case that is what's happened. And I like to demystify these things and say, look, I'm an idiot and I slap paint on like that. And this is the result I get. Now, it's by no means competition winning, and I never said it is, but it's fun. And my entire reason for having this YouTube channel is to teach people how to do what I do. and to demystify it and get rid of the weird dark magic theory that surrounds it, and so people can look at a model and say, not instead of looking at a lot of people when they, this is hard to explain. 99% of people, let's say you paint a model, 99% of the people that look at that model will have no idea how you've done any of it, because it's just not what they do. They don't know, and to them, they wouldn't know whether it was the best paint job in the world, or an average paint job, or a sucky paint job. I mean, they might be able to tell if it was really bad, but to them, it's all deep dark mystery, and it's all dark magic, and you're a genius. There'll be a small percentage who know exactly what you've done because they do it themselves, and they'll be able to say that looks great, or they'll have some valid, criticisms or room for improvement. But for most people, they don't know. They don't know how it's done. So to teach somebody who knows nothing how to paint a model that would win a competition is not going to be. It's going to be the most boring video in the world, because it'd have 55 episodes and go on forever. If there's a kind of model that spent weeks painting a model, I haven't got the patience to do it. So I don't aim for those people. I aim for the people that just want to know how to paint a model so it looks good, and not like it's been painted by a 5-year-old. So I show them that. I never claim to be an expert. I never claim to be a professional. I don't even claim to be good at what I do. I just basically say, here's what I can do. This is what I like to do. Here's how I do it. If you want to be able to do this yourself, then let me teach you. And then, once you've learned how to do that, and you realise it's not all dark, deep, mysterious magic. It's not all dark arts that you have to spend years learning. It's actually a lot of quite simple techniques. Once you've learned that, and you've got the confidence from learning that and realise that it's not so scary and complicated, go off and learn something else. Go off and learn other things, other techniques, and get better. So my role has always been basically just to teach how I do what I do, to get the results that I do. And from there, you can use it as a springboard. I like to get people... It's a bit like... You could say it's a bit like Bob Ross. Bob Ross has a very particular style. It's very brush, it's very painterly, it's very simple, it's very undemanding. And the beauty of it is that because it is so undemanding and so straightforward and simple, a lot of people with no experience can learn how to do it. And then, should they choose, they can then learn further from other people how to get more advanced. So I see it that kind of way. I'm not teaching you how to be a competition winner painter. I'm teaching you how to just be able to paint something to start with. From there, you can use that as a springboard to go and learn other things. And I've never wanted... This is why I don't do competitions. People, why do you do competitions? Because I'm not good enough. I don't want to be good enough to do competitions, because I haven't got the patience to paint like that. I couldn't do what Simon Reynolds, I couldn't do what he does, because I haven't got the patience, I haven't got the skill, but I haven't got the patience. And I don't ever claim that I have. And I don't have a desire to put my work up there, because I don't think it deserves it. And I don't want to put my work up there at the expense of somebody else putting their work up there and maybe getting the credit they want and deserve. I'd much rather someone else have a chance than me take up a space in a competition, knowing that it's not really going to win anyway. I don't know. It's just I've not got that kind of desire for. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I don't need someone to tell me that my work is good, because that doesn't interest me. I don't really care if my work is good or bad, or if somebody thinks it's brilliant or terrible. I don't care. I really don't care. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. And if I can teach people how to do it while I'm doing it, even better. But as for, it's nice when someone says, hey, that looks brilliant, your work's really good, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm not here for the praise and adulation, and it's not interests me at all. I just do what I do. I'm more of a Bob Ross than a whoever you'd want to insert as a painting legend. which is why I'm always happy to, you know, to promote other people's stuff and to shout out to other artists and painters, because, you know, most of them are much better than me, and I'm not going to pretend I'm anything, but I'm just a dude. So I'll always happily promote other people's stuff. Right, swig of coffee. Getting all deep there. Let's have a look. I don't know what David Sanderson says Bob Harris style, then corrects himself and says Bob Ross, not Bob Harris. However, right now, I could be more like whispering Bob Harris. I'm a kind of a cross between Bob Ross and Bob Harris. I've actually talked to Bob Harris, whispering Bob Harris. I've told that story before. I used to do telephone support for a telecom company, and his phone line was down, so I had to phone him and talk him through it. And he was a really nice guy. I said, "Are you whispering Bob Harris?" He went, "Yeah." I was like, "Cool." Let's have a look. For shiny paint stuff, I use micro mesh from fine to damn girl, you super fine grit. I like that. Damn girl, you super fine. I'll do that properly. Let me just prepare. His grits go from fine to damn girl, you super fine. And then to me at fine and finish polish. Bet you wouldn't suck at it, Fox. You should have a crack at one. Nope, I know my limits. I can't make models without making a mess. And if I'm doing a shiny car and I make a mess of something, I'll just put it in the bin, because I'm not going to go back and try and fix it. I haven't got the patience. I have not got the patience. Again, for me, broad brush strokes. I can't spend a month polishing a model so it looks nice and shiny to then put the paint on. It's not going to happen, ever. I get bored. Sergeant Bones just baked some big German pretzels. Das ist richtig. Das ist very much richtig. I don't know if these are the Games Workshop drill bits. I don't know if this is going to be far too big. I know not about the size of this bit. Let us have a comparison. Might just get away with it. If I can pick the damn... Hang on. I can't pick the drill bit up. Well, I need a magnet. There's a screwdriver. There we go. Right, let's see how this bit is compared to the... See, it might just about work, but I've really got no real wiggle room in that barrel at all. If I get this wrong... I know you guys can't see it, but if I get this wrong, I'm a bit screwed. I do have smaller drill bits. Let me put that back in there for the moment. In fact, no, I'll put it on the end of my screwdriver. There you go. Right. I do have smaller bits. Vincent says, that's the fun part about the hobby. It's great for me to watch you doing the creative stuff, even though I'm self-rivet counting ass when it comes to my own stuff. There you go. Takes all kinds. Basically, I'm happy I've learned to enjoy the pleasures of Gunpla and the Age of Sigmar, to let go of the historic build mindset from time to time. Sergeant Bones says, that reminds me, Spiddy, Germans are heathens. They don't put vinegar on fish and chips. This is illegal. Spid says, oh my god, it's beeping. The fish is ready. The fish is ready. Candy Gren from Mongo says, I bought several sanding sticks intended for fingernails. There were different numbers printed on them, so I assumed they were different grits. Wrong. The number referred to the colourful pattern. Fox Ross says, Colin, yes, I know that picture. Spid says, currywurst and their beer is good. You can't really argue with currywurst. Currywurst is the best thing ever. Can't stand the smell of vinegar. It tastes good, but I just can't use anything, says Beck Storm. I like it on chips. I need to send you some Henderson's relish, Spid says to Sarge. Fish and chips, stew, soups, anything meaty and gravy, he will never hold the same allure without. I need to get some of that. Fox, I've been trying to make a pose for my Gunpla, but it never sticks. Any tips on how to make a permanent pose? Yes, you have to glue it, obviously. If you are using Tamiya extra thin or anything like that and it's not sticking, it will be because the frame is ABS. Have a look on the instruction sheet. The first page where it's got a picture of all the sprues and it shows you all the sprues and the bits you don't need. It will say like A, and then there'll be a bracket with some Japanese, and it will say one of three things. It will say PE, ABS, or PS. PS is polystyrene. For polystyrene, use your extra thin. What I do is I get the arm or the leg, wherever, in the pose I want it, and then I get the Tamiya extra thin going around. There's that dog from next door but one. Shut up, dog. Shut up. Ooh. Oh, idiot. Anyway, yeah, so put it in the pose you want, and then you use the extra thin to go into the gaps and cracks and build it up quite a lot. Get it in there, but then just leave it for an hour. But be quite generous with it, but careful. You don't want it to go everywhere. So if it says PS, you can use your Tamiya extra thin. If it says ABS, Tamiya extra thin will not work on ABS. ABS contains very little or sometimes no polystyrene at all, and Tamiya extra thin is a polystyrene welding cement. It melts polystyrene and makes it weld together. If there's no polystyrene in there, or very little, it's got nothing to melt. It won't melt ABS. For that, you want to get one of two glues. Other glues are available. The two I have here available are either Tamiya's ABS cement. It just says Tamiya Cement ABS. It's got the blue lid. Unfortunately, it's actually really hard to get hold of. That dog hasn't died yet. Seriously, I've only got a shotgun with a scope on it. It's very thick. It's not a thin glue. So it's not like you can just work it into the gaps. It's more of like the regular Tamiya cement. So it's not brilliant. But if you can get some Plastic Magic. Plastic Magic is basically thinner than Tamiya Extra Thin, but it welds most plastics together, including ABS and polystyrene. It's thinner than Tamiya Extra Thin, and it's the same. You get the arm or the leg, or whatever, in the pose you want, and then you run the glue around the gap. This is, when you're doing things like posing, you can, if you've got like pegs and things like that, you can put the glue on there first and put it together, but there's usually such a complex build process, you can't do that. You have to build it all first and then glue it into the pose you want. And that's why you want a very thin cement. So that's why the Plastic Magic, if it's ABS, get yourself some Plastic Magic. If it's not, just use the extra thin. The trick is to just let Plastic Magic takes a bit longer to fully cure and set, so you have to leave it for like 24 hours. And one thing I would say is, before you glue your joints on a leg or an arm or anywhere else, make sure you get it into that pose with the armour on. When I was doing the Strike Mauve, I had the legs and arms in a particular pose, and I had the leg in a particular pose, but I realised, hang on, if I glue it in this pose, can I then get the leg armour on? And I couldn't. So what I had to do was, I had to make sure that when I put the leg in a particular pose, I put the armour on the leg, I put it in a pose I wanted, but that meant I could still get the leg armour on and off. So I got it in that pose, glued it together without getting any on the armour, and when it had set, I took the armour off. So I wanted the leg in a pose like that, for example, because he was doing that kind of in the air pose. You know, the Gunpla, they do that kind of one leg up and one leg out. I wanted the leg like that, but I couldn't have put the armour on the upper thigh. So I had to adjust it to be a little less up like that, have it a little open. Oh, hello, that made me jump then. That really made me... The little noise that plays when somebody does a super chat or something, it sounded like it was coming from outside the window. Aviad says, slowly but surely, sight is going down. The rightful king shall return. Thank you very much, Aviad. Your little $5 super chat there. You made me just do a little bit of poo there almost, because I could hear the dog outside. I was like, why is there somebody outside? My brain in that instant says, why is there somebody outside the window going, Pika, Pika? Made me jump. Look at that. I shoot with that hand. So, yes. So do lots of test runs before you glue anything. Make sure that when you get the pose you want it in, you can remove any external armour. Like I say, I would get the armour on there, I would get it in a pose, I would understand, I'd look at it and say, can I still get this armour off in that pose? No, then I can't use that pose. Put the armour, put the leg where I can adjust it, glue it together, and then when it's set, I can take the armour back off. Depends how you want to do it. If you're going to be gluing the inner frame, you kind of want to do that before you paint it. You don't want to glue it in place when you've painted it, because you'll mess the paint up. And the way I did it was I glued the legs into the... Basically, I built the whole frame. I posed the arms and legs the way I wanted them on a base. I then glued the knee joint in place so the legs were set where they wanted to be. But I didn't glue the legs to the torso. I glued the arms in the position they need, but again, I just glued them in the elbow, not in the crook of the elbow, not on anywhere else. And then when they'd fully cured, I popped the arms and legs off. and I glued the shoulder joints where they were supposed to be set. Without moving them when I took the arms off, I glued the shoulder joints in place, so the arms have always been in the same place, and I glued the 2 bits of the hip joint that stick out and go into the top of the leg. The 2 bits of that stick out, I glued that into place as well, but once the legs had come off, because I didn't want to accidentally glue the leg onto the torso, because I need to make sure I can still take it apart for shipping. But you can do, if you're not going to ship it anyway, you could just stick the legs and arms on, glue the elbows and the back of the knees, and then glue the shoulders and the hip joints and things wherever you want them. It does make life a lot easier, because then you can paint the frame all in one go. You're not painting a million frame pieces and then putting it all together. But yeah, check what it is on the instructions. If it's not sticking, it's probably ABS, and you're probably trying to stick it with a polystyrene cement. Fox, let's not make donate me to poop a thing. You already have. Where are we? Chat. Catch up with the chat. The fish is ready. Where are we up to? Aviad says, honestly, some of the biggest improvement I made in the hobby was after going to a local competition knowing I'm not going to win, but the input from the judges was priceless. True. My experience of things like that in competitions here is they've always been a bit I can't really use the words I was going to use there because it's monetized. Yeah, the ones I've been to, I would not take any advice from the judges seriously, because it was always like, oh, you're not very good, are you? It was that kind of annoying Rivet County stuff. But yeah, you can. I mean, it's just not, competitions is just not something I want to do. I don't need, I'm not the kind of person, how can I explain it? I can't really explain it. It's just not, I know I don't need to do it. I'm not good enough. Plastic Magic is brilliant stuff, says Dad. Quano Man says, I'm using lead belcher on the metally coloured bits of my prime, and I can't stop giggling at the name lead belcher. Lead belcher. Oh yeah, lead belcher. Colin says, Colin makes a statement which, if you know what he's working on, makes perfect sense. If you don't know what he's working on, you've got no. He just says, cool stuff, using it on the cat for some bits. Talking about the Plastic Magic. You might want to qualify, Colin, for the people that don't know what the cat is. But why use it on a cat? Let's have a look. I can't remember where the comment was now. It was thy creator, wasn't it? There we go. Asks about the thing. For the second there, I thought you were actually gluing the cat. Then I remembered, said Zadster. Also, thy creator says, also for my Providence Gundam with the stand, it's too tall, but I want to keep the base such that the base sticks to the feet. Any suggestion? If you're wanting to attach it to the base permanently. Yeah, if you're gluing all the joints in place and it's going to have a static pose, you can just glue it to the base if you wanted to. Of course, you'd have to do that once the armour for the feet was on, and that's where it gets difficult, because then you don't want to mess up the paint job on the feet. It may be a better idea if you want it to be attached to a base. It may be a better idea to either consider, once you've got everything glued in place and in position, building some magnets into the feet and in the base, so it can stick to the base, or building a rod and a key and slot scenario where you have a hole drilled into the model in the feet, and then you build a little sort of key, a little sticky up bit into the base. And then obviously it can just slot onto the base, like an action figure slots onto a base, and it's got the little stud that sticks up. And you could do that by just drilling a hole and using a bit of, say, wooden doweling or something. The limit with that one is where you can put a hole inside the feet or the frame for the peg to go into. It might not be possible on a Gundam, whereas it was just a normal figure. You'd just, like, drill a hole. Say Guthorm was a plastic model, you drill a hole in his butt. Sorry, Guthorm. And you drill a hole in the base, and there'd be a little wooden dowel or a clear piece of acrylic. Excuse me, or something like that he would then slot onto, and that would be him mounted onto the base, basically. But that depends on the model. The other alternative is, of course, just magnets. And lastly, the third alternative will be just to not use an action base at all. and just make your own base out of, you know, wood or whatever you want to use. Some people make bases out of lots and lots of sheets of very thick plastic card all glued together, and then they can trim it and cut it to shape. So you could get creative with that. He says it's uneven because of ridges. Yeah, that's when you want to look at magnets or drilling pegs, or like I say, just making your own base. Right, I'm going to see if I've got. I need to clear my throat again. Hang on. Ooh. See if I've got a smaller drill bit, which I will have. But the thing is, any of you guys out there that have got, guys and girls that have got one of these like things full of drill bits, is it me, or are they just absolutely impossible to figure out how to open the damn things? I've never been able to figure out the right way. Oh, apart from this one that opens. Okay, that's alright. That's fine then. I'll let this one off. I've got this micro box set with 1 billion bits in it, but I don't know where all the... They've all just vanished. I'm thinking a 0.5 perhaps would be tiny. Actually, no, 0.6 maybe. Would be tiny, but just the right size. Now, I've forgotten I've actually got these, but I like these because the drill bit itself has actually got this big honking bit down here, so it can go into regular pin vices. Even a Games Workshop pin vise. Almost. It almost fits. That's not brilliant, is it? I don't want to use my actual pin vise because my actual pin vise sucks. Darn, I wish that was smaller. Anyway, I can't do that, so let us instead use my other one. Now, this is my own pin vise. I don't like it because when you use it, the other end comes off all the damn time. It's really frustrating. Zasta says, with those box sets, I'm forever sliding the slidey thing when it's upside down and the bits go everywhere. Yeah. I can never figure out how you're supposed to open them. I just end up breaking them open to get into and then lose all the bits. You slide the clear part so the hole lines up with the bit you want. Oops, hang on. I didn't know that. Let me slide the clear part. Do I have to lift it up first? I don't understand how you slide it. It doesn't want to slide. I'm just being an absolute spoon, but I don't understand how it slides. Hang on. I don't understand. You know, I'll do it later. I don't want to do it now because they'll ping everywhere and I'll look like a spoon. So let's see if we can drill this barrel out without making too much of an arse of it. Now, bizarrely, it looks like the little vents on the side, oh no, they're just, I thought they were already drilled out, but they're not, they're just shiny. Okay, so this is probably going to go horribly wrong. And I know you're not going to be able to see this. But let's see if I can do this barrel and not make a complete arse of it. That's just about in the middle, except it's not. Now, a lot of people, they like to put a little sort of mark with their knife in the middle of a barrel as a pilot mark to guide the drill bit. Every single time I do that, I stab myself. So I don't do that. So we'll just see where this is. This is it's almost in the middle. It's close enough. So we'll drill this out a little bit. Drilling, 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 drilling the hole into the thing and hoping I don't mess it up because that would suck. Need to sticker giveaways soon. It's nearly sticker giveaway time. It's a very small hole. It was a very small hole. That's what we'll do. We'll try. We'll try. We'll try this one as well. Which end is that? That's the other end. There we go. Because I'll start with the small and then I'll work it into a bigger hole. If you haven't got one of these Citadel pin vices, by the way, they are expensive, but I like them because they've got this little spinny thing on the end. And the drill bits they come with only come with a few, but they are exactly the right size for the most part, for things like barrels of bolters. They're designed to work for like bolter barrels and things. So, yeah, that's going to be a bit off there. I just want to drill it out a little bit. It won't fit in there. I'll give the little one in the muzzle brake holes. Don't know if any of you out there know about guns, but what are the holes in the side of the barrel? Is that part of the muzzle brake system? What they're actually called. Little holes that go in the side. I'm not a big fan of doing little bolt pistol barrels because they're really a pain in the bum and fiddly and not brilliant to drill out because they're so small. A normal bolter, that's fine, but these things are just far too small. Okay, so it wasn't quite centered, so what I'm going to do is, I've only gone in a little way with the barrel, with the hole. I'm then going to carve out the side of the barrel where I was a bit off, because it was just a little bit off center, so I'll carve out the other side, and it just helps widen that hole a little bit, so that it gives the impression of being a nice circular barrel, even though it's not quite. So if you are drilling barrels and you find yourself a little bit off center, don't panic. Just carve out the wonky area with the tip of your blade of your knife, and you can kind of expand it out. Now that looks as horrible as anything. It's all bitty and powdery. Jamie's Bone says, got to go now, food is ready. Thanks for coming in, Jamie. Enjoy your roast chicken. Jealous? Yeah, so what you can do, if you get all bits of plastic left in, what you can do is just run your Tamiya extra thin in the holes or around the inside of the barrel. And what that will do is it will melt any of the plastic that's in there and smooth off any jaggedy edges. So that by the time that's dried, you won't have seen any of that because it's tiny, but by the time it's dried, you'll have a nice smooth barrel with the tip drilled out and bits down the side. There's some bits on there. Bits down the side that look like nice clean drilled holes when they're actually not, but no one will know. So there you go. It's one of the uses of extra thin is to actually clean up plastic. There, done. That's one. I think we've got another one to do, haven't we? Have we got more than yeah, we've got more than one. Oh well, never mind. Let's do the other one then. Beyond Hope says, muzzle breakers at the front of the barrel. Any holes further towards the breech are cooling holes to stop the barrel overheating and warping. Aha! There you go then. So I shall not call them the muzzle brake holes anymore. Thank you for that. Yeah, muzzle brake's like the thing that sticks out at the front. Often it's like a box-shaped thing, isn't it? Especially on shotguns and things like that. Almost in the centre, but not quite. Now, sometimes I like to, when I drill a barrel out, I like to go all the way down. But on this, where